the thing I did this time was I pre-scheduled it as live, which I've never done before.
I see a note that says meeting is
There we
now
go.
streaming live on YouTube.
We're live on YouTube. How about that? Okay, Here we go. Well, welcome. I'm Bill Gross. Welcome to our Thursday call, Probate Weekly. We rebranded this call. And the idea is to create a meeting place for people who are interested in real estate investing, wholesaling, real estate sales, interested in using probate as one of the niches to generate some business. I'm Bill Gross. I'm the LA probate expert, and literally I was at probate court today. I'm going to go back on Monday. I was there this past Monday, so I've been going about 2 times a week, even during COVID. I represent buyers who want to buy property for investments, and then we fix and flip those. I represent sellers and probate petitioners, attorneys, estates on selling properties as well. And so it's an exciting field, and it's a niche that people really don't understand. And it also crosses over nicely with real estate investors and wholesalers. You guys are welcome to bring properties that you want to pitch to the call. I'd love it if you would get to me ahead of time to vet. I also host a call on Tuesdays, which is realestateinvestingzoom.com. And there we are extremely focused on real estate investing, out of state, multifamily, as well as in state. So welcome to the call. I thought I'd start today with an interesting experience I had. I went to LAProbate court, downtown LA today, Moss Courthouse, representing one of my clients who wanted to buy one of the properties that was for sale. And it always strikes me as interesting. Let me ask you guys, first, have anybody here ever buy or sell a property at probate court? Anybody in the call ever do it before?
No.
You have an experience? No, I don't see anybody.
I would love to go down there to the LA courtroom with you one day to experience it.
Well, I'd love to invite you. It's a little challenging during COVID, right? I used to host a weekly meetup. 2 or 3 times a week meetup at the courthouse. I gave free tours when pre-COVID. And so I hope when they open up again, I'll get a chance to do that again. So I'll just share with you. Let me just ask you guys about real estate. If you knew a property was for sale for $630, and it in probate court at the auction, it went for $750, what would you think about the listing agent who was attempting to confirm the sale at $630 as the best price possible for the estate? What would you think about that?
Shortchanging the estate, in my opinion.
One more time.
Shortchanging the estate, in my opinion, because your fiduciary duty is to get the client the most money.
Exactly.
Unless they tell you otherwise. They want to just sell it quickly.
Exactly. I'm shocked that the attorney sat there and I'll tell you this, it sold for $750. It would have gone for $800, but you can only go for so much in probate court. And given they had no photos, they didn't want to tell you that they're going to vacate the property at close of escrow, which makes it more valuable. They wanted to leave it almost purposely shady, right? So it would have gone for $800 had they really, in my opinion, just had one tour day maybe, and maybe photos of the inside, but they purposely didn't do that. And if they would have said, will be delivered vacant, they just done that, you go from $750 to $800, in my opinion. And so here you have an agent. I would think the attorney would look at her and say, what the hell were you doing? And there were not one, but 7 customers, the heirs in this case of the estate, who almost all got shortchanged their share of about $150,000. I would have thought they'd be hanging her from the ceiling. Instead, they're congratulating her as if she had anything to do with bringing more money to the estate. And so this is. Go ahead, Jay.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to mean to interrupt you. What's the judge's role in all of that, if any?
Isn't that?
I think they were trying to double end it.
They were trying to double in the deal, for sure. William, you're right. So Jay, legally, the judge, his responsibility is to follow the law, right? If the judge is more activist, you might say his job is to help protect the estate's asset and make sure they don't get taken advantage of. But to me, that's just obvious proof something was wrong. When yes, it did go up by that much, and good for them, they didn't lose that extra $150. But I always say, well, how much more do they leave on the table? Because the incompetence of the listing agent and the attorney. And so, Jay, to answer your question, the judge is supposed to follow the law. They're all busy. The probate attorney is busy. The judge is busy. They can't really look at the details. But to me, I would ask questions like, well, why is there no picture inside the house? You had the property in the market for 90 days. You couldn't get inside. How could that be?
Yeah, we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, I think, on one of the calls, and there was an agent on there who was, adamant about the fact that she was doing the best service that she could, but like you,
I think we just lost you.
The broadest possible market. She didn't list it. She was keeping it as kind of a pocket listing almost.
Yeah.
It's like I think as an agent, because I'm an investor first and foremost. I've got my license, but it's not active right now, and I'm trying to figure out what to do about that. But as an agent, you've got like was said earlier, you've got a fiduciary responsibility to maximize.
Right.
You should be broadcasting and marketing it as wide and as broad as possible in order to do that.
Right.
In my opinion.
I agree with you 100%. So these are what I would look for signs of inefficiency. One sign of inefficiency is only one photo, right? To me, I just smell somebody's trying to hide something when I see one photo.
Sure. Yeah.
Another sign of inefficiency is, now you wouldn't know this unless you're an expert in probate, but when you look at the documents and notice the agent's double ending the deal, that's a sign of something going on, right? There's another sign, which is limited description of the property. Another one is that obvious omissions in the description. Is there a tenant? Is it a squatter? Is it a family member who's going to vacate? All those have different pricing implications on the property. And
Right.
As an investor, though, I would say, don't be scared off by those signs. To me, those are signs of inefficiency. And if I can get the answer to them, I have a unique opportunity to buy a property that somebody else might pass on. And today, for example, the property that was bought at court, the guy who bought it believes he knows how he can make the property's 4-bedroom in this little niche near USC, where they've restricted the number of bedrooms to 3 because they don't want too many, they don't like a frat house or whatever environment. But this particular investor thinks he knows how to go 4. And knowing that difference, that information is the value of getting the property and making the profit or not. And so the thing I always want to tell investors, wholesalers, and realtors is, information is the most valuable resource in the world if you can use it properly. Information is very valuable as a realtor. And as realtors, that means and salespeople, it means we can go see property and see things other people don't see. We can door knock it and find out what's going on inside. We can read the MLS private remarks. As investors or realtors, we can look at the data, we can look at sales, we can see how many properties are being bought, sold, days on market, those changes. Information is critical. And I would say never be scared off by those smoking signs. The fact the house was burned down, let's say, to me isn't a sign not to buy the property. It's an opportunity to say, well, what does a burned down property, what's it worth? And can I maybe get this at a premium and sell it at a profit? Does that make sense? And so I would say we get paid to solve problems in probate or in real estate in general. If we can solve the seller's problem, he has a house and he wants cash, we buy the house for cash, or we wholesale the house for cash, or we list and sell it for cash. We solve the problem, we get paid. And so we are not looking to avoid problems. We're not looking for people who don't have problems. We're looking for people with problems that we can help them solve.
Right.
My friend,
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
My friend Avraham and I are both involved in working with single men who are marriage-minded get married, something we've worked at together for years, and our wives are kind of on board, and we host dinners and things like that. And one of the things that's always clear is single people. I don't know who's on the call here, but single people imagine somehow they're going to marry somebody else who has no problems, and then two people who neither of which have problems will live together happily ever after. And that sounds nice, but the reality is, over time, you come to discover not only do you have problems, the ones you're trying to hide, but you discover everybody has problems, and relationships about learning how to work through those problems together in a productive way, right? Is that about right, Abraham?
I would say that's more than
No, I
true.
agree with you.
Yeah.
It's more than
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
I've been married 3 times. It took me the 3rd time to get it right. I got the knucklehead slapped out of me.
Well, you learned. Think about all the people that didn't.
I've been married 36 years to one woman. I haven't learned anything. So she'll be the first to tell you that. So, but it's the same thing. I think when I got married, my rabbi said to me, the key to getting to success in marriage, not that I profess to be successful, but the key is not to find the right partner, but to be the right partner. And I say in real estate investing, real estate selling, real estate wholesaling is not to find the right deal necessarily. It's to be the person who makes something into the right deal. You find a piece of the puzzle missing, with your piece, it becomes a great deal. That's how you make money. Because if it was an obviously great deal, there'll be a line of people to buy it. Right? It's fascinating to me as a listing agent. I have a listing that's very complicated, very unique legal situation. I put all disclosures in the MLS and in the public remarks to say, talk to an agent to find out the details. And agents won't read the MLS, and they'll call me. My customer loves your property. Well, it's not he loves the property. He doesn't know what it is, and you're too lazy to do your job. I can't say that, but I'm telling you guys that on the phone. That's what I'd love to say. Because that's our job. Our job is to figure out, well, what's the problem? And then if you can solve that problem, you can sell the house to him and get a commission. There you go. Okay, so I've gone on for a little bit here in my soapbox. Who has a real estate question, problem, challenge? William May.
Since I'm new
Bill-
at probate, ladies first.
Okay, Bill, I have a question. Say, for instance, if at the property it needs a court confirmation, and there is someone who is living on the property, a tenant, and they stop paying rent, and the owner, the PR, and the heirs, they want to deliver it vacant. Can you evict that person out of that property? Regardless, because we are experiencing a moratorium on evictions. So does that judge have the authority to say, okay, well, we need to sell this house, and then the tenant who stopped paying needs to go?
Wow.
Well, the first thing I would say is that whether it be probate court or not, it's the same thing, that they have a responsibility, and they have tools available to maximize the value of the property. However, the probate court will not fulfill the role of the eviction court. They will direct the administrator or executrix to file the appropriate papers with the appropriate court to do the eviction. And so many times in probate, I've helped the estate. I referred them to a eviction company when appropriate, and help them with that process. Now, sometimes there are a lot of people protected because of COVID from being evicted, but there are other people who aren't protected and think they are. For example, I have a probate case where the lady wasn't making rent payments before COVID because the decedent passed. They thought, oh, I'll just live here forever. I won't still mail the checks to the same address. I'll just not, I'll make them force me to pay my rent. Well, the problem with that is that eventually you owe that rent. And if you don't save that money, and people don't pay rent, in my experience, you might think a tenant might not pay rent, put the money in a bank account, invest it in Bitcoin, double their money, and then pay the back rent and avoid eviction. They never do that. My experience is once they're behind 1 month, they can never make it up. That's just my experience. So to answer your question, no, the probate court can't help expedite it. They need to go to the regular eviction process, whatever that means. If they're squatters, there is eviction process for squatters now available. It's tenants who are protected, who are legally and meet certain criteria. But a squatter can't just move in a house and say, it's COVID, you can't get me out. The police will still come and remove them. And I've had people removed from properties during COVID in the last few months.
Yeah, I mean, and Bill, just to pile onto that, I mean, it kind of comes down to the lease.
Well, often in probate, you'll
That's gonna
find
trump.
Yeah, but often in probate, you'll find there's no lease. There's the grandson who
Right.
grandpa and dad said could live here forever. There's no lease to that effect. There's the father's last girlfriend, and he died, and she's been living there for 8 years and not paying anything, and tells you she's entitled to the property, or tells you she's a common law wife, or tells you there's a will somewhere but she can't find it. Probate, you get all kinds of stories. It's really if I was a little more telegenic, I'd probably get a TV show on some of the stuff I come up with. But I would say you see, and very common, like the one today, you have 7 different heirs, and 1 or 2 are living in the house, and they're selling the house. And can you imagine their heirs, meaning they're one of 7 brothers or sisters in this case. You think they would accommodate the listing and get some photos taken. You think they would vacate one day to allow people inside to do inspections and such. No, not at all. Because they've convinced the executor and the attorney they get away with that. The reality is, the law, well, if you're a beneficiary and you reduce the sale price of the property, that comes out of your inheritance. And so an aggressive attorney, an aggressive administrator would say, well, that's fine. We'll just calculate the appraised price minus what we sold for, and we'll take that out of your inheritance. We'll take that $50,000 out of your share. Is that okay? What do you think they're going to say to that? No, but the
Probably not going to like it too much.
But the attorneys don't know to do that. And it's just amazing to me how good attorneys, smart, educated, great attorneys in their field will get a probate case and not know what they're doing. And unfortunately, the estate will rely on them and they won't get the service. So I would say our job is to help solve problems. And oftentimes I'm helping the attorney understand what their options are, because I see more of these than an attorney does who's not familiar with probate. But good question, Joanne. That is your question? Good. Next was William.
Hello, everyone. I'm kind of new at the probate thing. So I wanted to prospect older executors, administrators that has not sold yet. So what would be the best script for that? Because I like cold calling. So you're the master, Mr. Gross. So what would you say?
Well, when you say older, you mean probates that were opened a year or two ago?
Like 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years that still have real property.
That's not that old. I'll just share with you, when I go on the, I'm going to open up and I'm talking to you, properties that are being sold this week in probate court, the original filing date were 2017, 18, 18, 19, 19, 2020, 18, 2009, 19, 19, 19, 19, 19, 17, 19, 19. Hardly any 2021s. I think that we as realtors assume the older leads are as good as the new ones. I'm sorry. Yeah, the old leads are as good as the new ones. But I think the older ones, if they are still have real estate, are really where the money is.
So what would your script be if you would call them?
Well, gee, Mr. May, this is Bill Gross from eXp Realty. I'm an expert in the probate real estate field. I notice you have your probate still open and haven't sold the real estate. I imagine there must be some problem. I'm calling to see how I can help you. What's going on?
Oh, we just trying to figure out some things. We hadn't decided to put it on the market yet.
You haven't decided to put it on the market. Is your intention to sell the property?
We still haven't decided yet. We're still talking between the siblings.
Interesting. So I noticed your filing date was 2019. Is the property rented or one of the heirs living in the property?
Yeah, family is living in the property.
Great. What would you, among the siblings, what would you like to do? Would you like to get it sold, or you'd like to hold on to it?
It's a headache being the administrator. So yeah, I would like to liquidate it.
Now, let me step out the role play for a second. You're now my new best friend. My job is to get you to turn on the other.
So basically, just like cold calling, just have a conversation and just see where it lies, and just ask key questions about the estate.
So what I would say is, and anybody here who thinks I'm wrong, tell me, please raise your hand or put in the chat box. Nobody likes being called by a cold caller. Nobody likes being called by a telemarketer. Anybody would accept help from a nice, friendly neighbor who's offering to help solve their problem. So be the second, not the first. So if I call you up on a friendly guy and I'm just trying to help you, you have a problem and we all want help with our problems, correct?
Right.
So your problem could be you got 6 siblings and 5 don't want to sell because they're all living in that property in a drug-induced stupor. And you don't want to be the bad guy to get rid of, but you should. Is best for them to get them out of the house, get them their share of inheritance, and wish them well. That's the best thing as their older brother. But you're busy with life. You got your kids, your house, and your job. And now I'm calling saying, hey, I can help you strategize this. I can help you make that. I can even help you save some money. You may have to come out of pocket. I can help you with the fees for the probate process because you've stopped paying your attorney because you're not getting anywhere with it. I can help you with all that. So my job is to find out what your problem is and solve it. And then I get paid.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Find the problem and then figure out how to solve it. Good. Other questions, challenges, or problems? Have to run. Victoria, thank you. Victoria, always nice to have you around. Anybody have a different approach on how you approach somebody in that case? I'd like to think some of you are calling probate petitioners regularly. Joanne or anybody else call, Andrea, any of you guys call probate cases regularly?
This is Jay. I for some reason, a lot of the opportunities that I've come across lately just happen to be estate related situations, probate, some of them probate, some of them not. But I mean, that's always the approach that I try and take too, is that, I'm a problem solver. I just want to help you solve your problem, and at the end of the day, hopefully it works out to something that, we can do business together. But, if there's any way that I can help you solve your problem, what is it? I've got a lady that inherited a house that she lives in LA area, actually. House is in Michigan. It was her mom's house. She grew up in it. She's just trying to figure out what she can do to, get it ready to maybe rent it out or whatever. And so I'm just trying to help her solve that problem. And, at the end of the day, hopefully it will work out to something. Maybe it won't, but I'm like kind of building karma, if you will, and just helping her solve, some challenges that she has from being thousands of miles away.
So, one of my coaches had taught me that the money we receive is a reflection of the value we create for our customers and our prospects.
Right.
So you look at the money you got paid, and that is the value you created for other people, a portion of the value you create for other people. And so it's really important that we look for people who have problems that we can solve. Sometimes we want to find the easy deals, the easy cases. But the bigger the problems you solve, the more problems you solve, the more money you make in the long run. And look for those opportunities. So again, when in the role play, I'm looking for their pain point to get them into action. Andrew says, I do call expires and for sale by owners. I have to yet to approach probate administrator. Where do I locate the list of names and numbers? Andrew, we could talk offline specifically, but in general, I would say, if you're interested, I actually just did a video as well as I created a web page with a list of all of the probate data sources I'm aware of. Probate data, probatesdaily.com, all the leads.com. But if you text good stuff to 213-460-1257, text good stuff to area code 213-460. I need to double check that number. It's pathetic. That's my own number, and I'm not that clear on it. But what you'll get back as a link to a web page that has my video kind of describing. I'm sorry, 2577. That's funny. 2577. Area code 213-460-2577. You can text good stuff. You get back a link on a web page I have, or it's on my website actually, also under probate data. But I have a list of all the sources that I know of. If you're in California, Southern California, Andrew, you're in Southern California, right? You're in LA. So
Yeah,
I would say,
Los Angeles.
yeah, I remember we spoke yesterday. I would say the cheapest probate daily and probate data, and they're both on my webpage. But alltheleads.com is the most expensive, but the highest value, and they have a whole package of service that goes with it as far as mailing and web page. I use their web page. They have printed materials. I use their flyers. So you can take a look at both those. But if you go to my website on probatedaily.com, there's a coupon code you can use to get a discount of 20 or 30%. And then if you ask for it, they'll also send you for free a book by one of my coaches, Kevin Sales, if you're interested as well. You can use the book yourself or use as a book to give to a petitioner or a customer. So again, text good stuff to 213-460-2577, and you'll get back a page that has the list of the data, and it has a video. I did a short video on YouTube on that topic. Okay. Also, if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see I have videos in that particular. In fact, I'll put the link to that video in the chat box as well. Good. Other questions or challenges?
Hey, I have a question.
Go ahead, Sam.
Well, this is my first call on here, so this is great info so far. And I saw on your thing that we can watch some of your stuff on some of your old videos on YouTube. How long have you been doing this?
So this call on probate, I started this in a conference call format probably about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And then when COVID hit, I started doing video calls. So, and then about 3 or 4 months ago, I started recording them all. I was recording them. I really wish some on Facebook and some I didn't know what to do with. And so now I pretty regularly get them onto YouTube and create a playlist and try to make it a little more professional. So I'd like to create in the long run kind of a national probate network of professionals like me working together, sharing information. So I started kind of creating the YouTube channel as a way to try to build towards that. So,
Awesome.
Hey, Sam, you're in 313 area code. I think maybe you're in
Michigan.
Dearborn, Michigan. Very nice. And you're an investor as well as an agent.
I'm actually an agent and investor.
You're an agent with Remax.
Yep,
And I think I met you through MTI, right?
correct.
Do you subscribe to data through them?
Yes, probate data. I actually just signed back up with probate data about a week ago. So I am going through scrubbing the lists right now, and I plan on hitting the phones next week on Monday.
So I like probate data. One thing I subscribe to them as well. I subscribe to 3 different services. Now, this is all I do, meaning not only am I a full-time real estate broker, but all I do is probate. So all my chips are in. So for an extra $70 a month in a service, I don't mind paying it. Probate data I like a lot because they just email it automatically in CSV format. And so it's easy for me then to forward to my virtual assistants to do data scrubbing and other things like that, team members to make phone calls. And then here in LA, I also share data with investors and wholesalers who are part of my team. So I like probate data. They also have a Do you go on their calls on C-Press?
On
I think they call
Wednesdays?
it? Yeah.
With Jack O'Neill, I use sometimes, not as much as I used to.
Uh-huh.
But initially, yeah, I used
But they're
to participate.
recorded. But they
Yes.
record in there. So it's a good
Yes.
package. I'd say I'm not advertising for them. In fact, I'm actually was going to sign up for it, and you can't just sign up. You have to do a webinar thing. I don't know. I'd love to sign up for it again just to take it. I took it. Mike has been around. I'm in Southern California. He's from our area, and I want to say I saw him the first time about 10 years ago, and he's been at this all that time, and
Wow.
and knows the business. And so I took it, and I I don't want the certifications per se, but I always feel like every time I'm in a class like that, I learn something. And even those calls, I listen to them. Frankly, I could probably teach some of those calls. I mean, I think I'm doing it every day, and I don't think this instructor really is, but with all respect, but I do learn a lot from it. I think it's really good. And I think for the price, you get a lot of value out of it if you participate. So they have a package deal where you get the coaching, and then they record them on Facebook. You can go back and listen to them afterwards. So
And it led me to you too. So overall, it's been a good thing.
I'm sorry, they do what?
I said, and it led me to you too. So
nice.
overall, it's been a good thing.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I've been involved with several of the companies. I was alltheleads.com. I was on their conference call once or twice, and Paul Horn and I did a program together. He's another competitor. He has a program. He's in California only, so I don't think you would have heard of him, Sam, but he has a great product called probatemoney.com. And I use that. It's a great interface. I use that to research. You can download some of the leads. He has some training. I think he's an attorney. He's not a real estate salesperson. So I don't think he really understands the sales process as well as some of the others do. But I think Mike's group is a little more focused on the sales part. The key thing is for all of you, the key thing is to make phone calls. You can tell when somebody hasn't made calls versus somebody who has, because at some point, some of those questions just become obvious. Okay, hey, we've got some questions in the chat box, so let me go through there real quick. Okay, so I subscribe to YouTube channel. Good stuff, Bill. Hey, thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. You have a YouTube channel, and thank you if you like it. And hey, if you think I should do a topic, let me know. If you don't like a video, tell me why. Let me know. I want to make it more valuable, and I enjoy it. It's been a lot of fun. It's a great way to reach out for me to. I'm building a national network of real estate agents. I'm with eXp Realty. We have the ability to have agents join us across the country. We have an agent in Florida, Atlanta, Tennessee coming on board, hopefully. So it's been a lot of fun. Mike asked me, how much do I pay for monthly fees for probate leads? Mike, are you on the call? Are you your camera on or not? So I'll say this. We had to talk about how good a husband you are. If I told my wife how much I spent on probate data, I think she'd be upset and she'd want to order some more purses or shoes or something. But I will say that I subscribe to Probate Money. I have subscribed to Probate Daily. I have subscribed to ProbateData.com. I have the website from alltheleads.com. Now, I will say that I closed 28 deals last year, and I've already closed 10 this year, and I'm on track for 35. So to me, data is valuable. All of the sources I find miss an occasional case. I don't want to miss any of them. And they all kind of have their advantages. So I use different data sources for different things. So I spent a lot of money on it. Maybe you might say too much, but it's been working for me. And I don't think you have to. For most realtors, I say pick one, and that's what I did. I started with one and made money at it. And then as I made money, I kept reinvesting in my business to build it. So you don't need 3, you don't need 2, you need 1. Call them all regularly, call them until they list with you, and then reinvest some of your income, like any business, back into your business to add services and add features. I'll just share with you guys, like on this call, I've added over time some equipment, a better camera, better lighting. I have some other budget. I have another $3,000 I'd love to spend on newer cameras and such. But you have to close deals to make money. This is a profitable business and wealth building venture for me. This is not a hobby. So when I spend money on probate data, it's because I think there's a way I can make some money on that. Also, different counties. I have agents on my team. I have 17 agents on my downline. And so some of them I give the data to for free in different counties. So hope that answers your question. Charm City Property Solutions, whoever that is, says, when it comes to door knocking, do you recommend focusing on decedent's address or the personal representative's address? That's a good question. I think it depends on your business. I think that, some agents want to start in probate 100% like I did. Now, I came out of management recruiting and I was not in production. So I didn't have sales activity going on when I started from scratch about 2 years, a little over 2 years ago. So I went into probate 100%. Most agents, I don't recommend brand new agents starting a probate for the most part. If you think you're an exception, let's talk. I'd be glad to give you some business planning. Most agents, I would say, learn how to sell houses before you learn how to sell probate houses. They're more complicated. So add probate to what you're doing now. And you can add in, like William says, he cold calls. Great. Cold call your expires and FSBOs. Maybe add in the probate. If you door knock, so that the answer to your question, Charm City, is, well, where are you door knocking now? Because if the petitioner is in, I don't know, Long Beach and you're door knocking North Hollywood, it makes no sense. But if you're in North Hollywood and the property is North Hollywood, I would go with the property. So I think that the greatest opportunity for real estate agents is to add or bolt on probate to your already successful business. And so I would say that. And also, when we door knock what we think of as a high profile property, you can't just door knock that one house, because by the time you drive, park, get out, people door knock will always say, well, nobody's home. We'll ask, well, how many were home? Out of 10 houses, how many were home? 2 or 3, exactly. About 25% are home on average. So that means if you're going to drive to one house that's a probate, odds are, 1 in 4, they're home. 3 or 4 times they're not. Only go to that house if you're door knock maybe 10 houses around it. That makes the time you spent driving and parking your car productive. So door knocking, I would say you have to be careful that, there are people who would go, this is particularly true for distressed properties. People will drive and only door knock the distressed house. You already parked your car, you might as well hit the other 10 houses with a more generic selling part. And by the way, the neighbors sometimes will tell you the story about the property you came to hear about. You go to a property that's a probate, it's abandoned, but when you door knock 2, 3 houses down, there's the nosy neighbor who waters your lawn every afternoon, and she'll tell you, oh yeah, the son is taking over the house, and the son lives down the street, the son works here, the son whatever, she knows his name. So that's where door knocking around the property makes more sense. Okay, wait a minute. It'd be great to know if other agents having success in probate sales have a weekly or a monthly success, because it shows exactly how they're having success prospecting probate leads. Hey, William, I'm all for it. In fact, William, I'd like the first agent that prospects and has massive success to be you. How's that? He likes that one. So
sounds like a plan to me.
I'll tell you a couple of things. One is I'm guilty of this. I started on the allleads.com program 2 years ago, March 1st, actually. And by the end of the first year, I was so damn busy, because when your business is growing, both you have a lot of activity, but you haven't learned how to deal with it efficiently, that I stopped coming on their regular call. So I didn't really have a chance to share. And I remember one day I was sitting in the court and I got out early. Their call happens to be, I think, at 10 or 11 in the morning. Normally I was still prospecting then. And one day, for whatever reason, the court ended early. And then I said, I'm going to call into the conference call and tell them the success I'm having and thank them for their support. And I literally called in, and at that time, I think I had like 20 something pendings, and I had really been doing really well, and shared my success. But the problem, William, is agents who are successful, number one, if you're growing, you're too busy or you think you're too busy to share. And number two, sometimes people get a little self-centered or selfish. They don't want to share what they're doing with other people. So I will just share with you, I don't have that fear.
That's what I found out.
Yeah. So I'll share with you.
Everybody's tight-lipped.
Exactly. That's why I have this call. That's why I invite some top producers to come on the call. My first coach was Zig Ziglar. He said to me, you can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. So I'm not really worried about it. I don't fear losing business. I don't fear somebody learning what I'm doing. If you're willing to work as hard as I am to do what I do, good luck. Mike Charby, EXP is nationwide. Does it do just residential, commercial, and business? Does it have a teaching program also? Mike, to answer your question, EXP, I'm a residential agent. I can do both residential and up to 6 commercial deals a year. They also have a full-time commercial division. EXP Commercial just launched a few months ago. And they have all kinds of training. So Mike, if you're interested, reach out to me afterwards. I'd be more glad, or privately, and then more than glad to help you with that. Anthony Brooks, I don't think we met, have we, Anthony?
We played phone tag for a quick minute there.
I'm good at that, aren't I?
Me too.
if I was half as quick on in basketball as I am on phone tag, I would have been in the NBA, but I'm not. So to answer your question, I'd be glad to. If you want to ever make an appointment with me, you guys are welcome to. I use Calendly to book myself right into my calendar. People say, "Can I have time with you?" And I'll say, "Yeah, I'd love to." So if you go to Calendly, CALENDLY.com/Bill Gross /15MIN for 15 minutes, you'll book in my calendar 15 minutes, probably 30. Actually, I block out 30 minutes for that. Secret, I'll let you know about. But feel free to book a time. So Calendly.com/Bill Gross /15min. Or again, if you text good stuff to that number I gave you before, 213-460-2577. On the bottom of the page is a link where you can click right there and book a slot with me. I'd be glad to help you guys. Anybody to call, and I'll just make this offer. I don't have a coaching program. I am thinking about maybe doing that down the road, but right now I'm just too darn busy, thank God. And I like helping people without having to charge for it. I don't like charging somebody by the hour to be an assistant. It just doesn't sit well with me. So for today, anybody who wants some time on helping them kind of get clarity on their business, clarity on the business plan, feel free to book a no-cost appointment with me at that spot. I'm glad to talk to you as long as you fit in my calendar. And no charge. I have nothing really to sell you on other than work hard every day and be of service to other people. Other than that, I have nothing really to sell you on. Okay?
Oh, that's perfect. One more time. Could you spell, you say Connolly?
Calendly. So CALENDLY.com/Bill Gross, my name, /15MIN.
Got it.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks.
My pleasure. Or text good stuff to 213-460-2577. You get back a whole list of stuff. And on the bottom, there's a little link as well. You are welcome, Joanne. Of course, anytime. You and I have talked before and appreciate your support on my program. In addition to this, I have a program every Tuesday at 3:00 that's real estate investing focused. And that one is, I'll put that in the chat box as well, is Real Estate Investing Zoom.com. You can sign up there as well. And that we're focusing on investing out of state and other types of properties as well. Hey, Annabelle Pacheco, welcome to our call. How you doing?
Hey, Bill, how's it going?
Great. Annabelle is a hostess or host of a Zoom call on Wednesdays on multifamily investments. I get us all the time about multifamily. In probate, we don't get that many opportunities. They do come up. They tend to be value add properties. And on yesterday's call, Annabelle shared her value add. She bought a property in the Dallas area, Grand Prairie, I think, where she made over $1.5 million in less than 2 years on a multifamily, right?
Yep, 1.6 in 2 years. Mhm.
Don't forget that last $100,000.
I know.
I was hoping for that as my tip, actually. So sorry about that. So you host your call on Wednesdays at 2:00, right?
Correct. Every
Great.
Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, good.
I mean, if you have the link, share it.
Do I
it's
have the
open
link
to
to your
everyone.
call? I don't have the link, but
Okay.
chat box text me, I'd be glad to share it. Good.
right, cool.
And so I think those are all the questions I have. Anybody else have a question for me before we wrap up? We're getting kind of close to the witching hour. No?
I have to say, you're awesome. You share some awesome information, so thank you. Because
Well, thank you.
I learned from you.
Good looking also, charming.
Of course.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I can go on the rest of my day. Excellent. Okay, good. Any questions, challenges, problems? Hey, I just want to share with you guys a couple of things. Business is about helping other people. Sometimes that means helping people kind of below you or behind you, trying to help pull them up or pull them along. Other times you need a hand. But even if you're somebody who needs a hand, there's somebody behind you who needs some help. So I'm sure, like me, I'm on a bunch of calls every day. Some of my hosts, some of them I'm a guest on. I really try to bring value when I'm a guest. I try to participate, try to support the program because, and I appreciate you guys who support my program. I want you to participate for yourselves. So I want to urge you to, when you come on my call or any other call, bring a challenge, bring a question, participate. The more you participate, the more money you're going to make, the more you're going to grow, the more business you're going to do, the more people you can help. So let's all kind of push ourselves. Let's see, send me up, Annabelle. There you go, there, Annabelle. There's a lead right there for your call. How nice. From Mike Childry.
Thank you.
Okay. So anyhow, so participate. Let's play hard together. Let's work together. Last call. I don't see any hands up or any questions. Anybody else? So don't forget.
Bill, this
Oh,
is
go ahead.
Jay. I've got one. It's tangential to probate only in that it's an opportunity that I came across because it's an estate/probate situation. I first met the personal representative when they were having an estate sale. It was her brother's house, and they were having an estate sale last like October or whatever. And I happened to stop by and got talking to him, and kind of like asked the whole, what's going on with the house, and kept in touch. And she ultimately got named to the personal representative, and we've stayed in contact. And I'm supposed to be getting a purchase and sale agreement from their attorney to buy the property.
Nice.
And again, I'm an investor, and I've got my license, but I've yet to put it with a brokerage, and something I want to talk to you about offline. We've spoken briefly about EXP, and I did talk to the Sylvia here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, that you had referred me over to, and I want to have a follow-up conversation with you about that, but that's off topic. My question is, this property, it's zoned as residential multifamily, but it could be a single family property. I'm struggling with when I buy it and I go to fix it up as a flip, is it better to go down the path of doing it as a duplex, or should I convert it back to a multifamily? And how do I go about evaluating that? What's the best way to go? Again, this is, it's not really probate specific, but
No, but these questions come up. I think that's a great question, which is really what's the, because that question will determine the answer. What's the value of the property at the end of the line, right? Sometimes,
yeah, exactly. I want to maximize value, right?
I learned some great lessons today. Today I went to probate court with a client who wanted to bid on a property that would be a fix and flip in near USC in the UC section of Los Angeles. And I really try to stay in my lane. I'm really an expert on negotiations, contracts, procedures. I don't know development. And what I learned today was, and it so happened on this property, for whatever reason, 3 or 4 of the top real estate flippers in LA were all there in the courtroom one time. In fact, they all kind of said they all know of each other. They've all had seen each other once before, but they never actually been together for more than 5 minutes. And they're all kind of together. It was really interesting. And this kind of small world of these LA flippers. And the thing that was fascinating to me in talking to them, and these are guys who are at any time have between 20 or 40 projects in various stages of development. So they're turning over every month. They're turning over 5 or 6 deals. They're professional, significant, in every regard, kind of know what they're doing. And what I'd say is, what fascinated me in talking to them is that they know the fine detail points of that neighborhood developing, because the buying of the property came down to, can you do 3-bedroom only? Are you limited in this area? Or can you do 4-bedroom? I think it was a 4-plex, right? And because it's near the university, there was a recent change in zoning. And I'm not going to say if it's right or wrong, but the facts are, in certain areas near USC, which is a large university, they restrict the buildings to no more than 3-bedroom units, on the idea that 4 bedrooms aren't families, but 4 bedrooms are fraternity houses or party houses or whatever, and we're bad for the community. And so there, certain areas are restricted and certain ones are in certain conditions. And these guys knew block by block by block which ones could do 3 and which ones could do 4. And of course, you can go into it. We have a resource called ZMIS. We can go in and get some of the instruction and figure it out. But these guys know it. Like, that's their business. And I said to myself, I have to stay out of that what's it worth discussion, because I don't really know. And my client who was buying the property, now I'm an expert on him buying the property. But if you want to maximize the value, what was a 4-plex, brand new developed near USC worth that would sell? Is it going to sell for 2.2 or 2.5? I don't really know. And I have to stay in my lane and say to my client, he was surprised. He said, well, do you want to list it for me? I said, well, to be honest, I'd rather you list it with somebody who's going to get you the right answer and get more acquisition, because we'll make more as a team. Would I like a $2.5 million listing? Of course. Will I do as good a job as this person in a very competitive environment? I won't. I'm not the right person for that job. Now, he's a very demanding customer. So I'm not saying I don't want the listing. I'm saying I don't list it for him unless I really know what I'm doing. And so I'd say, to answer your question, Jay, I don't know. That's really that's a great question for local developers in that area that really know the market in that pocket. And I'll add one other piece to that. I went to a presentation on multifamily here in LA of a young guy, surprisingly young, who all he does is multifamily in Detroit and in a particular part of Detroit, bounded by this boulevard and that street and this freeway or whatever. And he knew within $10, $20 a month how to raise the rent based on what kind of cabinets and flooring to have to upgrade a property. He knew this one you could put in only linoleum, get away with it. This one you had to have wood. This one you had to have better. He knew block by block in that area what to do. That's why he was so successful. And so I'd say to you, you really need to look at the closed sales in that area, look at the active listings, and really do a deep dive or find the expert who knows the answer to that. I wouldn't pretend to answer the value of a property and what's the right answer in Michigan. And I only say that with the greatest of respect. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it does, and I appreciate that, and but that also kind of presents the challenge that I've come across, is that, I am trying to compare, single family to, say, a duplex, yet there's only been 4 duplexes sold in the entire township that this house sits in the past year. So it becomes really challenging to try and determine, what's a duplex worth versus what's a single family home worth. Obviously there's a lot more single family housing sales in the same area. So so yeah, that's my challenge in trying to find a person, or somebody that is that expert like you described, because I would love to be able to connect with that kind of a person.
Yeah.
Because it's in outside of Lansing, so it's not Detroit where you've got a super high volume. It is it's Lansing, a smaller town that's got a much lower volume of overall sales. So yeah, I mean, I'll continue to plug away with it, but I just, every opportunity I have to kind of pose the question, I'm trying to pose the question. I threw it out on Bigger
Sure.
Pockets. I threw it out on,
I have a quick comment on that.
Yeah, go ahead. You're in
Uh,
Michigan, right?
No, I'm in Los Angeles, California,
Oh,
but I
sorry, okay.
would say check with the city because I had a situation where a property that I was in the transaction with was on a multifamily zoning lot, but after speaking with the city, it didn't qualify multi-zoning because it was short, like 150 to 200 feet. So it didn't qualify. It needed to be a minimum of 10,000 square feet or something like that. But yeah, check with the city or a commercial company that specialize in building new construction with multifamily. They could probably help you.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I did talk to the township, and that's kind of where I found out, because when I looked at the public records, it just shows residential. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, I can just do, residential single family. Well, when I talked to the township, they're the ones that said, well, no, it's actually designated as a duplex or multifamily. Therefore, you know, um, they said you kind of need to keep it. I don't know if it's that highest and best use concept, because residential zoning can be, multiple things, at least in Michigan, I think. I'm still learning a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm continuing to dig into it. I don't think I can lose either way as far as the deal and the purchase price and all of that. It's just, trying to maximize my investment and maximize my return.
Right.
In terms of, what's the better way to go.
Well, that's the key. That's the big chunk of the profit is making the right decision there. So I'd urge you to look into that and get clear on that and get some help if you need to. So cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we had some questions about, are they wholesalers on the call? I think we have Sandra's one for sure, and she put her contact info. Thank you, Sandra. And so I'm going to wrap up now because it's 5 o'clock. Thank you all for being on the call today. Again, I'm Bill Gross. I am, you can get me at Bill at the LAProbateExpert.com. You can go to my website. On there I have events. On there I have information with the probate data. Call me, text me, email me if I can help in any way. We do this call every week, Thursday at 4 o'clock, and then Tuesday at 3 o'clock, I do a call on real estate investing. Love to have you on there as well. You guys have a powerful week. Call if I can help in any way, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks
you, everybody.
very much, good sir.
Thanks. Thank you, Will. All the
Thank
best.
you.
Thanks, Annabelle.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.